Durbalam prachalam durdama nilayam asanipata ajastra prakaram timiraloka samavakaram.
Look at this map of 9th century India. In the north, the Pala, Rashtrakuta, and Pratihara empires are locked in a relentless three-way war for Kannauj. Down south, the landscape is just as fractured, with the Pallava and Pandya kingdoms exhausting themselves in constant territorial battles. Amidst this exhaustion, a minor feudatory, a vassal ruler who owed military allegiance to the Pallavas, named Vijayalaya, saw an opening. He capitalized on the mutual weakness of the warring giants, captured the city of Tanjavur from the Pandyas, and established it as the capital of a newly independent Chola dynasty right in the Kaveri Delta. The Kaveri Delta is geographically constrained, yet over the next 450 years, this modest settlement would project military force thousands of miles across the ocean and raise towers of granite using gravity-defying engineering that involved hoisting 80-ton stones hundreds of feet without mechanical pulleys. The Cholas secured their survival in a brutally contested subcontinent by shifting their focus. Instead of grinding their armies into dust fighting for adjacent terrestrial borders, they engineered a sprawling, hyper-profitable domain across the sea. This map shows the Maritime Silk Route, the primary artery of global trade between the Abbasid Caliphate in the west and China's Tang Dynasty in the east. For decades, Indian Tamil merchant guilds held a highly lucrative monopoly here. They controlled the crucial transition ports in the Malay Peninsula, where foreign ships had to stop, refuel, and trade. But as shipbuilding technologies improved, vessels became capable of traveling much longer distances without docking. The ships began bypassing the Indian transit nodes entirely, sailing directly to the Malayan ports and cutting the Tamil guilds out of the profit loop. The rival Chola Empire, based in Southeast Asia, quickly moved to lock down this newly centralized wealth. They began systematically discriminating against the remaining Malaya-based Tamil guilds, actively boxing out Chola-allied merchants to consolidate their own regional economic dominance. Emperor Rajendra I responded to this economic threat with massive force. He financed and launched a sprawling, highly expensive naval armada straight across the Bay of Bengal, striking directly at the Srivijaya Empire's core territory. The Chola forces decimated the Srivijaya fleet, fracturing their empire into smaller, subordinate kingdoms. But rather than occupying the territory, Rajendra instituted a system historians call pseudo-colonialism. He forced the defeated kingdoms to accept Chola military bases and exacted heavy economic tributes from their resources, entirely avoiding the massive logistical drain of direct administrative rule. This calculated maritime monopoly functioned as a highly efficient economic engine. By extracting wealth from Southeast Asia and controlling the global trade routes, the Cholas funneled immense capital back to the Kaveri Delta, financing their ultimate domestic ambitions. Back in India, this influx of intercontinental wealth financed a massive agrarian expansion. The Cholas terraformed the Kaveri Basin, constructing sprawling canal networks and massive water reservoirs, some stretching over 16 miles long, to guarantee total food security for their growing population. In 1010, Raja I poured the treasury's maritime wealth into the Brihadeswara temple, commissioning a granite structure that dwarfed the scale of traditional Dravidian architecture 5 times over. The complex is dominated by its central feature, the Vimana. A Vimana is the pyramidal tower constructed directly over a Dravidian temple's inner sanctum, and this specific structure reaches a towering 59 meters into the air. What makes this structure an enduring engineering marvel is its composition. The entire 59-meter granite tower was meticulously carved and stacked without a single drop of mortar or cement to bind the stones together. This architectural blueprint illustrates the final, most staggering physical feat of the Vimana. Resting at the very top of the spire is a solid 80-ton granite capstone, a weight-to-height ratio that would remain unrivaled for centuries. The precision found in their stone structures appears in their metalwork as well. This is the Nataraja, a world-famous bronze sculpture cast during the Chola period, depicting the main deity Shiva performing the cosmic dance of creation and destruction. These sprawling, impossibly heavy monuments served a dual purpose. They operated as highly organized financial hubs that managed village welfare and localized economic activity, while simultaneously projecting an aura of sheer, unassailable invincibility into the minds of every citizen who looked up at them. Beneath the absolute authority of the king, the empire ran on a surprisingly decentralized administrative engine. Local districts were governed by highly autonomous village assemblies, known as the which included citizens from all castes, and the Sabha, which managed land granted specifically to Brahmins. But the imperial center eventually hollowed out. By the 13th century, a succession of weak rulers, like Rajaraja III, who was briefly taken hostage by his own vassal, left the empire vulnerable. Rival powers, specifically the rapidly expanding Pandya and Hoysala kingdoms, exploited this weakness and steadily dismantled the Chola territory. The territorial collapse was absolute. Following consecutive military defeats, the last recorded date of Emperor Rajendra III's rule is 1279. After 4.5 centuries, the political borders of the Chola Empire were completely erased from the Indian map. Yet the systems they built refused to die with their borders. A rogue Chola prince named Raja Lumaya established a surviving military base and dynasty in the Philippines that lasted until the 1500s, while Tamil merchant guilds maintained their dominant grip on Southeast Asian maritime trade for another full century. The Cholas established infrastructure, from the autonomous ore assemblies to the intercontinental trade routes, that outlived their own political borders. While the dynasty eventually fell, the economic and civic systems they engineered continued to function long after the kings were gone.